Welcome back to another episode of the Knowledge Bomb. I'm Nick Fowler. We're continuing our discussion around recovery. Today, we're going to talk about daily routines and what you can do to improve your recovery. I think the biggest misconception when it comes to recovery is it's something that we do, right, as a result of training, right, or we do to offset stress. Now, this is true, but I want to present this idea that we can also view recovery as preemptive, okay? So it's the stuff that you do before the stress hits that's going to increase your ability to recover from it, okay? So, perfect place to look at it, daily routine. What does your daily routine look like? Now, there's a lot of studies out there that talk about, making sure that when the sun sets in the evening, 10 o'clock, that's when you wind down, you're going to go to sleep, and then you wake up when the sun rises. So that circadian rhythm is really important. So I would just urge you to try to get into that cycle and that rhythm of the day. It will help. With that rhythm comes consistency, and with consistency comes predictability. And in terms of recovery, if we can predict how we're going to recover to certain stresses, then we can really balance out the amount of training, stress, right, and the amount of recovery that we need. So first, set that rhythm. Within that daily rhythm, I would break it up into three different parts, right? A pre, an intra, and a post. And it kind of revolves around training. So a pre-training, intra-training, and post-training. Each one of these sections, right, pre, intra, and post, have unique qualities to them. Recovery just doesn't happen in the post stage of training. So when we look at the pre, I want to lend you some ideas for you to implement. One, journaling. Now, a lot of people don't think about this as recovery, but you got to remember that stress, whether perceived or real, has an impact on us, okay? So if the perception of stress impacts our ability to recover, then the mind is a very, very powerful tool in terms of being able to recover. So, journal. In your journaling, go ahead and focus on this growth mindset, right? You want it to be in a growth mindset when we write. Now, there are some ideas around just free-flowing, just writing and journaling, and that's okay. It really depends on who you are, where you are in life, and your style that you get most out of it. But journaling is a huge part of that. The second thing is visualization. It kind of goes hand in hand. So what I mean is that if you're headed to the gym in an hour, spend some time visualizing what that session is going to be like, okay? You're basically preparing your body for the stress to come, and when that stress comes, your body will be a little familiar to it because you've prepped it already, if that makes sense. The third thing is fueling. Make sure that you're properly fueled going into your session, right? If it's a weightlifting session where it's strength-based, right? Not a lot of respirations, not aerobic, not metabolic. It can require different fueling than if you're going in to do, I don't know, double Fran or something horrible, right? But you see the idea. So just make sure that your fueling is on point and timed for your training session. The second area of focus is intra-training. With intra-training, you want to focus around your actual session that's in front of you. The biggest thing is warm-ups and cool-downs. These are not necessarily thought as recovery tools, but they are. If you warm up your aerobic system, blood flow, body temperature, all these things, your body will cope with the stress ahead a lot better. Basically, it also means that it's going to recover a lot faster. The second thing is cool-down, right? How many of you guys get into the gym, limited time, and then as soon as you're done, you got to be out the door, shoving down a meal as you race to work. So as simple as it seems, cool down warm-ups, huge, huge part of that. There is a component of mobility and movement that is important. So if you are about to embark on very stressful, complex movements that challenge your range of motion, spend some time developing and increasing that range of motion for those positions for that session. Other than that, we want to take mobility and we want to put it kind of post-workout, okay? So that's another thing. After you train, and I would definitely put this into the intra-training block, right? You've cooled down, you're refueling, okay? Carbohydrates, number one thing you want to ingest to basically, activate the parasympathetic system, refuel the used glycogen. There's a whole bunch of things involved in that. So if you're not taking some sort of supplement or a food that is specific to carbohydrates post-training, and I'm talking within maybe 10, 15 minutes of training, then that's an addition that you can make. The other piece is making sure that you spend some time mobilizing after you train, after you cool down, okay? Some people don't have time in their training session, and that's totally fine. Maybe that's where you put it in the evening. But there are studies that show foam rolling and actual compression, muscular compression, activates the parasympathetic system. So after you train, we want to develop and we want to get into that parasympathetic system as quick as possible. So that's the time that you can spend foam rolling, mobilizing, things like that. You'll find a lot of benefit from it. The final block is post-training session, right? So what are you doing after you leave the gym? Well, I would argue that it's pretty similar to that pre-training rhythm. So I would argue that it's pretty similar to that pre-training ritual, okay? You want to look at journaling, right? You want to look at the mind. You want to look at, basically, you're looking to foster a relaxed body and mind, okay? That's where the gains are going to happen. So how do we do that? Well, making sure you're well fueled, hydrated. I think journaling is a great thing post-training. Also, mobility. I think that's one thing that we tend to put aside and other priorities kind of sneak in. And so a really easy way to do this is to prioritize mobility right before bed. So 30 minutes before you go to bed, roll around, mobilize, things like that. It's going to do two things. It's going to increase your ability to fall asleep a little bit quicker, right? Parasympathetic system activated. So what that means is that, you're relaxing, repairing, you're getting ready to basically go to sleep. So the post-training block is very similar to the pre-training block, okay? We want to focus on nutrition, the mind, and the body, okay? So make sure that after you train, that your nutrition is on point, okay? That's when it's going to be best utilized anyways. 2, the mind. So journaling, meditation, unplugging, I think these are all really valuable pieces post-training. It's going to help you get into that parasympathetic state. It's going to help you repair and grow and make those gains. And then 3rd and final, body. This is the time in the evenings that you can take advantage of, let's say 30 minutes of mobility before you go to bed. It's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help activate some melatonin, get you into that parasympathetic state even more. And really, it's going to prepare you, right, for the next day's training. So go take an audit, see where your pre-training, intra-training, and post-training recovery is and how you can improve it.